This is how I failed freelancing. Completely clueless. That should have been mentioned in the proposal. He didn't pay at all. I am focusing so much on that. 15 minutes late. Clear communication. It's not just on me, it's not just on them also. It's like two-way street, but major is from. I don't want to title this as this is how I failed freelancing, because that's not really the case. But this is how I've learned the correct way to freelance, or the correct way to handle clients, because I was abruptly removed from the entire project itself. Let's decode the things that went wrong and what I have learned from them. So let's start from the very beginning. This client just want a website as a digital footprint. They are not trying to get sales through this, not trying to attract customers, nothing, just want a website. So the first meeting goes and they are completely clueless as to what they want in the entire website. So initially I've been told that in 15 days they want the website to be deployed. The initial requirement gathering happens, but I didn't get the right requirements because they were not sure as to what they want. The most important part is the requirement gathering, is to understand your client. If you are working with a client who has at least, say, like a LinkedIn, the owner or the founder has a LinkedIn, go ahead, check it out, just so that you get a rough idea of what or how they are working. When you are meeting the client, understand their requirements extremely carefully. Like, write down every single thing that they want. That is one thing that I did. They didn't want a contact us form. I had mentioned it that no contact form is needed, but there was nothing else from their side. They just wanted to have a replica of their competitor's website, which is very basic, I think. And their competitor had one of the most unique, clean and beautiful websites I've seen till now. I was just told that we want it to be like this. So after I got all this, I went and made a proposal for them. I made a mistake in the proposal itself. So I was told that this has to be done in 15 days, right? So there has to be a boundary. 15 days means it has to be deployed on the 15th day itself. And that is the responsibility of both the client and me, the developer. Both of us have 15 days to work and get this thing done. That should have been mentioned in the proposal, that this is going to be the timeline. This is when I submit the wireframe. This is when the approvals are going to happen, whatever. You'll have like this much amount of window. And then this is when I'll start coding. And these are the amount of reviews that I allow in this amount. I did not mention this, and that is a mistake on my part. The number of reviews are super duper important, because when I tell you that the amount of times I'm just waiting for response to come is immense. Like, I send them a message and like 2 days have gone by, everyone has viewed it, but no one is sending a response. So what am I supposed to do? How do I work? Clear timeline. I am focusing so much on that because it is time wastage on your part, like the developer. You are spending your time, because I was continuously iterating, trying to make those things better, but I was not getting anything. They were confused. And having talked with other web developers who are working, I've gotten to know that these people are confused. Like, your clients are going to be confused. There are going to be two kinds of clients, right? One who's knowing everything and they are going to check your source code and be like, I need to change karo. And then there's going to be other which does not know anything. Both of these kind of personas need to have clear communication with you. They need to respond. And in the proposal, mention how much window do they have to respond, right? So say, like, I've sent a message within like 24 hours or 48 hours, respond, so that we can work accordingly. Similarly, the number of reviews, the number of times I have to make changes, that also should have been there in the proposal, because it's extremely needed. Now, what happened in my case as well is that the first one was immediately like usko nikal diya tha, with the remark saying that it is not elegant enough and this is not what we wanted. This is how a standard website looks like. Okay, they didn't want this because that is not how the competitor's website was. So I then started building the website exactly like the website of the competitor was. And on that, I had sent them two links. And when I went there for some reason, they also wanted just offline meetings. There were no online meetings at all. Like, no comment also would come. Like, there would be no suggestions, this looks good, this looks bad, oh no, you need to change this. Nothing. Like, everything that will be said would be face to face, in person, which is a waste of time, because the first meeting that happened, the founder was 15 minutes late. So just a simple clause in your proposal of how you want the meetings to be, how many reviews you want them to have before you start charging them uske aage. Because there are high chances that, okay, you mentioned that there will be 3 reviews or revisions, and post that we'll start charging whatever amount of money. They are going to pay attention more on what they want and how it is. Now, during the initial meeting and the second meeting that happened, I had mentioned them a few things, that these few things won't look good, or these are a few design things that you have to have in it so that it looks good. The lack of communication, the lack of clarity on how they want, because every meeting we had, the requirements would change. Because I was writing down everything, I showed them in my diary that, see, this was not written. Another thing that I learned is that do not have anything just written in your diary. Whatever have you discussed, जो कुछ भी बात हुआ है, just put it in a email or a message, send it to them, just so that if they find anything which they didn't agree upon or which they don't like, they would make a comment there, and then you would have proof. When it's written in your own diary, then it's like, हाँ तो तुम तो आके भी लिख सकते हो. That is that. Freelancing is not easy. I see everyone talking about how easy freelancing is, or how easily they got the clients, and how easily they are charging so much, and it's just, it's wrong. You are just misguiding people who are trying to get started with freelancing because they didn't find a job, or because they didn't like their job, so now they've started freelancing. I have dealt with all kinds of people. Like, I have 3 projects, and I have covered like the nightmare wale. So there's this one who would just not pay. Like, my first ever client was my friend's papa's client, who boasted about himself a lot. I had quoted the lowest I think a web developer would ever quote. After submitting, he didn't pay at all because he was sick, or maybe the office people were traveling, or because he just forgot, and he didn't agree on paying the first half. He's like, I'll do the complete payment, but that complete payment didn't come through. It's like I was almost, okay, let it be, I'm just not going to bother at all. Abhi ye gaya to gaya. I got the experience, I learned a lot, and I learned that you really need to take advance, even if this is your relative. The second one was a very good client. He had a few things added, so I added the amount. He paid without any nakra. And then third one was when they were super duper confused. And isme kya hota hai na, it's not just my fault, it's not just their fault. Miscommunication from both of our sides, and lack of clarity. And then there was nothing, like I was just doing it like that, right? So I'm not trying to rant or vent my frustration, because इस चीज को हो गया भी बहुत time हो गया है. I saw a lot of ads, and I was like, okay, I know this is kind of just like one side of the coin, and there's the other side which not a lot of people are talking about, of how freelancing needs a lot of details. So just to summarize, communicate your deadlines very clearly. If you say that you're going to complete a project in 4 to 6 weeks, give yourself that amount of time only. If it goes beyond that, maybe you are going to say charge less, or you're going to deliver something extra, so you would keep yourself in check. Second, the number of revisions, how you want the communication to be, what would be the medium of communication. Is it going to be WhatsApp, is it going to be email? How much time would you wait for the communication to happen from both the parties, say like 24 hours or 48 hours? Have it clearly mentioned in that project itself. How you want the payment to be done before you start working on the project. 50%, 40%, 30%, 40 to 50% is the market standard. So like, get that payment. And then how do you want the payment to be? Like, the remaining person, do you want it to come after the deployment is done, or do you want 20% to come before the deployment, but the entire project is ready and it's been approved by them, and then the remaining 30% or 20, I don't remember what I said, but the remaining you want post deployment? Get that thing done as well. How long are you going to provide them maintenance support? So like, say 1 month post upload on the internet, have that mentioned as well. Yes, I don't think I'm forgetting anything. Also, I am going to make sure that next time I get a client, I am going to make them fill in the content that I would need in their website, because in this case I was using the copy of the competitor, and they were discussing how we would need to get rid of this because we don't have this. Yeah, that was because they didn't give me content, saying that first the design, first everything gets approved, then we'll give you the content. Never do that, because content के हिसाब से भी हम काफ़ी सारी चीज़ें जो है वो डिज़ाइन करते हैं. कैसे वेबसाइट दिखेगा वो कंटेंट के बेसिस पे भी काफ़ी टाइम होता है, इफ नॉट द एंटायर टाइम. सो येस, दैट इज़ इट फ्रॉम my side this time. I am learning, and I've learned quite a lot of things. There are a lot of resources that I'm referring to. YouTube is the best when it comes to learning about anything in general, I think. And for me, post this experience, I got to know a lot of my mistakes, and that is what I documented here. It's not just on me, it's not just on them also. It's like two-way street, but major is from